Will the House please come to order and members kindly take their seats? Good morning. The devotional today will be led by Ethan Tapper, who is a forester and author in Bolton.
Happy Earth Day. So I'll be reading from my book, How to Love a Forest. And in this reading, I'm walking through a forest with this forest steward named Jack, and really just loving the way that he's taking care of his forest. I marvel at Jack's forest, this profound expression of care and compassion in a world of exploitation and short-sightedness. Jack has no children, no one that he is managing this forest for. He is simply building a better legacy for those who may someday follow, whoever they are. He has chosen to care for this forest, not because he is called to, but because he has chosen to, because he is called toward responsibility. Like each of us, Jack has a house to keep and a forest to tend, a life of his own and a life to give to the world. Like each of us, Jack must find a way to care for the garden of his imperfect life while tending to the garden that we all share. Freedom is a chainsaw with the potential to be so many good and terrible things. We cannot choose if we will cut into the flesh of this biosphere, cannot choose whether or not our freedom will impact the freedom of others and of future generations. All that we can do is to choose how we will live in the world that we have been given. If we will treat this earth like a mine or a garden, if we will exploit and abuse it, or if we will turn toward responsibility and relationship and find a way to live with compassion. We walk back through the hayfield and toward Jack's old house, its clapboards bobbing in a sea of goldenrod. As Jack and I chat, I am brimming with hope. Suddenly, I can imagine finding balance in this off-kilter world. I can envision a reality where enriching each other is as important as enriching ourselves, where freedom is something that we can only attain together. This morning, I can envision a world where we see our power and our freedom as tools to plant seeds in the earth, to offer future generations of freedom unknown to the world of today. I wonder what this world would become if we realized that freedom does not belong to us, that it is borrowed from this earth, borrowed from those without freedom, borrowed from the world of the future. I wonder if we could learn to seek individual freedom within collective freedom, individual liberation within collective liberation, individual prosperity within collective prosperity. I imagine in this epic of loneliness, what would happen if we reached toward freedom together?
Will members and guests please rise as Paige Isla Siegel leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Members, we have a House resolution to take up at this time. H.R. 8 is a House resolution strongly objecting to the manner and circumstances under which U.S. immigration authorities arrested and detained Mohsen Madawi and strongly advocating that he be afforded due process under the law and released immediately from detention, offered by Representative Cole of Hartford and others. Please listen to the reading of the resolution.
Whereas Mohsen Madawi is a resident of White River Junction and has been a U.S. permanent resident green card holder for the past decade, and whereas on Monday, April 14th, 2025, in the belief that he was to participate in his final interview for U.S. citizenship, Mohsen Madawi arrived at the U.S. Immigration Office in Colchester, and whereas, instead of commencing the interview, armed immigration authorities in plain clothes with faces covered, arrested Mohsen Madawi and refused to provide any information regarding where he was being taken or what would happen to him. And whereas, in a joint statement that U.S. Senators Sanders and Welch and U.S. Representative Balint released, they described this action as immoral, inhumane, and illegal. And whereas, Vermont's 3 federal legislators also demanded that Mohsen Madawi be afforded due process under the law and immediately released from detention. Now therefore be it resolved by the House of Representatives that this legislative body strongly objects to the manner and circumstances under which U.S. immigration authorities arrested and detained Mohsen Madawi, and strongly advocate that he be afforded due process under the law and released immediately from detention. And be it further resolved that the Clerk of the House be directed to send a copy of this resolution to U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, Immigration and Customs Enforcement Acting Director Todd Lyons, and the Vermont Congressional Delegation.
Now you have heard the reading of the resolution, and the question is, shall the House adopt the resolution? Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and the resolution is adopted. Members, we have received requests to read 3 House concurrent resolutions that the House and Senate adopted pursuant to the consent calendar. The first is HCR 67, which is a House concurrent resolution commemorating the 250th anniversary of Ethan Allen's planning in Bennington in 1775 of the successful Vermont initiation of the American War of Independence and the association expedition to Ticonderoga. Please listen to the reading of the resolution.
Whereas during the 1770s, the volunteer militia members of the New Hampshire Grants, living north of the province of Massachusetts in the frontier areas between the Connecticut River and Lake Champlain, were known as the Green Mountain Boys. And whereas the Green Mountain Boys were located within striking distance of the 2 artillery-rich British forts, Crown Point and Ticonderoga, both perched on the western shore of Lake Champlain. And whereas in early May 1775, Ethan Allen, who lived in Bennington, directed his fellow Green Mountain Boys at the Catamount Tavern, the militia's de facto headquarters, to bring their flintlock muskets north in a discreet manner to recruit more Green Mountain Boys along the way and to rendezvous in Castleton, where they would be given further instructions. And whereas the plan was finalized at Castleton and the Green Mountain Boys' execution of it resulted in the successful seizure of the British-held forts and the liberation of 78 cannons at Ticonderoga and 111 cannons at Crown Point. And those forays into British fortifications were seen as the first Patriot triumphs in the American War of Independence from Great Britain. And whereas these epic military operations and legendary feats forever enhanced the reputation of the Green Mountain Boys and contributed to the successful American drive to win independence from Great Britain. And whereas in May 2025, the Vermonters are commemorating the early role of the gallant and heroic men of the New Hampshire Grants in the fight for American independence, the prelude to Vermont's admission as our nation's 14th state. And whereas in Bennington County, the commemoration of the expedition to Ticonderoga, Ethan Allen, the Green Mountain Boys, and America's first victory includes public events celebrating these brave deeds of 1775. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives that the General Assembly commemorates the 250th anniversary of Ethan Allen's planning in Bennington in 1775 of the successful Vermont initiation of the American War of Independence and the associated expedition to Ticonderoga. And be it further resolved that the Secretary of State be directed to send a copy of this resolution to the Bennington Town Clerk.
Next is HCR 72, which is a House concurrent resolution commemorating May 9th, 2025 as the 250th anniversary of Ethan Allen's arrival in Castleton in association with the War for Independence. Please listen to the reading of the resolution.
Whereas the battles of Lexington and Concord, fought on April 19, 1775, initiated the long and deadly conflict between rebellious residents of the American colonies and the government of Great Britain. And whereas, as a result of a committee of war held with the Green Mountain Boys and others in Zadok Remington's Tavern in Castleton, their local field commander, Ethan Allen, dispatched Samuel Herrick to lead 30 men to lock down Skenesboro, now Whitehall, New York, and to seize British Lieutenant Philip Skenes' fleet of boats in order to transport the Green Mountain Boys across Lake Champlain. And Ethan Allen also directed Gershom Beach to run more than 60 miles to alert men living in towns along Otter Creek and beyond of the need to rush to Hands Cove in Shoreham on the east shore of Lake Champlain, where they would meet Ethan Allen and more Green Mountain Boys. And whereas this plan was finalized at Castleton and the Green Mountain Boys successfully seized the British-held forts and liberated 78 cannons at Ticonderoga and 111 cannons at Crown Point. And these events were seen as early Patriot triumphs in the American War of Independence from Great Britain. And whereas over the next winter, Knox and crew that Bostonian Henry Knox led moved 29 cannons from Crown Point and 30 from Ticonderoga to Boston, where they were placed on high ground in order to force the British Navy to evacuate Boston Harbor. And whereas these epic military operations enhanced the reputation of the Green Mountain Boys and contributed to the securing of American independence from Great Britain and began Vermont's journey towards admission as the nation's 14th state. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives that the General Assembly commemorates May 9th, 2025 as the 250th anniversary of Ethan Allen's arrival in Castleton in association with the American War of Independence. And be it further resolved that the Secretary of State be directed to send a copy of this resolution to the Castleton Town Clerk and Vermont State University Castleton campus.
And finally, HCR 103 is a House concurrent resolution commemorating the establishment of the Austin School for the Deaf Collection and Exhibit at the Vermont Historical Society Library in Barre. Please listen to the reading of the resolution.
Whereas in the 19th century, Brevet Colonel William Austin of Brattleboro donated $50,000 for the construction of a hospital in the community. And whereas because a hospital already existed in Brattleboro, after the colonel's death, his estate executor arranged for a legal redesignation of the gift for the purpose of establishing a school for the blind and deaf. And whereas the General Assembly in 1904 Acts and Resolves number 276 incorporated the Austin Sanitarium and it amended the legislation in 1908 Acts and Resolves number 319 to give the new organization flexibility in designating a name. And whereas, finally, in 1910, Acts and Resolves number 74, the General Assembly appropriated $50,000 for the purpose of erecting a suitable building or plant for the use of said corporation upon the land owned by it in Brattleboro, Vermont, subject to it being used for a school for the deaf. And whereas the Austin School for the Deaf opened in the fall of 1912 with 16 students, and at the first commencement in 1914, both Alexander Graham Bell and Helen Keller were speakers. And whereas the operation of the Austin School for the Deaf continued until 2014, and the school's historic documentation and artifacts are located at the Winston Prouty Center in Brattleboro, under the curatorial supervision of the Austin School for the Deaf Museum Board, Donna Marie Auditory Pine, President. And whereas in order to afford greater prominence to the history and role of the Austin School for the Deaf, a select collection of the oldest artifacts has been transferred for exhibition to the Vermont Historical Society Library in Barre, and a dedication ceremony at which state officials spoke occurred on October 26, 2024. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives that the General Assembly commemorates the establishment of the Austin School for the Deaf collection and exhibit at the Vermont Historical Society Library in Barre, and be it further resolved that the Secretary of State be directed to send a copy of this resolution to the immediate past chair of the Austin School for the Deaf Museum Board and the Vermont Historical Society.
Are there any announcements? Member from Winooski.
Madam Speaker, today is Earth Day. Since I clearly have the earthiest name in the House, unless the member from Newport would like to interrogate me, please allow me to introduce one of our state's most passionate and dynamic environmental voices, Ethan Tapper. Ethan is a forester, best-selling author, and content creator who has somehow turned his lifelong love of trees into a thriving and impressively multifaceted multifaceted career. He manages a 175-acre working forest in Bolton, and where he juggles forest restoration, maple sugaring, writing, consulting, and performing in a 10-piece punk band called the Bubs. Don't miss them. A resume that could only come out of Vermont. His debut book, How to Love a Forest, was published last fall and quickly became a bestseller. He's been praised by leading environmental thinkers for his book's heartfelt, hopeful message about caring for a changing world. Ethan also reaches tens of thousands through his popular online presence at How to Love a Forest, where he shares insights on ecology, resilience, and why tending forests is not just a science, it's an act of love, humility, and service. Please join me in welcoming a true steward of Vermont's woods and wild places, the very grounded Ethan Tapper.
Will the guest of the member from Winooski please rise and be recognized? Member from Bennington.
Good morning, Madam Speaker. We just heard the reading of House Concurrent Resolution 67 commemorating the 250th anniversary of Ethan Allen's planning in Bennington in 1775. With us today are some of our Green Mountain boys who are seated in the balcony. With us is Thomas Hughes, who is part of the Vermont 250th Anniversary Commissioner, James Thatcher, who is Ethan Allen and is on the Bennington 250th Anniversary Committee, Andrew Palmer, Green Mountain boy, Nathaniel Lanfear, Bennington 250th intern, Mike Cutler, known as Colonial Man in Bennington, and Jonas Spivak, who is also the Vermont 250th Commissioner. And in the true spirit of the Green Mountain Boys, I will end this with a robust hip hip huzzah, which is what they would have said if they were allowed to in the chamber. So please give them a hearty welcome.
Will the guest of the member from Bennington please rise and be recognized? Member from Brattleboro.
Madam Speaker, you heard the reading of the resolution honoring the Austin School for the Deaf Museum. The Austin School existed for over 100 years in Brattleboro until 2014. Former students of the school have been working to honor the legacy of the school because of their great appreciation for the opportunity they had to study there. Several of those students are here with us today and have come from far, some from far and wide. Donna Marie Auditory Pine is the president of the Austin School of the Deaf Museum, and she is here from Jacksonville, North Carolina. Ann Goff from Warner, New Hampshire is the director and museum caretaker, and David Gabault from East Haven, Vermont, who's also a director and museum caretaker. All three are wearing Presidential Volunteer Service Hours medals for their extensive service in making this museum a possibility. They've put in thousands of hours together over 8 years to make this happen. They're very excited to be here today, and please give them a warm welcome.
Will the guest of the member from Brattleboro please rise and be recognized? Member from Bennington.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Yesterday morning, after Christians around the world celebrated Easter, we all woke to the terrible news that His Holiness Pope Francis, the 266th head of the papacy, passed away at 88 years of age. He leaves an incredible legacy in the hearts of all who were graced by his work and faith. Though he may have been the first pope to be born in Latin America and in the Southern Hemisphere, he did not let borders define his mission or purpose in God's kingdom to overcome the struggles and divide that our world faces. Madam Speaker, may we hold a moment of silence in honor of His Holiness Pope Francis.
Will members and guests please rise for a moment of silence? Member from Colchester.
Madam Speaker, I'm sure if it's not a written rule, there's an unwritten rule that we should not have a favorite constituent. But I have one, and she is here today. She has done significant and thoughtless acts on behalf of the town of Colchester, serving as a cemetery commissioner. She also has served many years as a volunteer at our library. More broadly, she has been an educator for more than 30 years, the last 27 or 28, teaching in Burlington Elementary School. She's also very good at crossword puzzles, rounds out my poor efforts in those regards. She's a fantastic mother. You may have started to figure out that I'm talking about my wife, who is visiting today. She's also once claimed that my New Jersey roots have spoiled the bloodline for our Vermont son. I've worked now for one of the members of our federal delegation. We've done the 251 Club together, and she's visiting me in this august body. So while we'll say hello to her here, if you see her later, please let her know that I am a real Vermonter. If we could welcome my wife, Beth Bloomberg, to the chamber.
Will the family of the member from Colchester please rise and be recognized? Member from Putney.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is a busy day at the State House, and happy Earth Day. If you notice, the gallery is very crowded today, and there are many people, many clergy here in their clergy garb. They are here today to hear the resolution from Mohsen Madwali, and here for the press conference, and here to participate in the march from the State House down State Street after this. They're organized by Vermont Interfaith Action, and I'd like to recognize and welcome them to the State House today.
Will the guest of the member from Putney please rise and be recognized? Member from Cambridge.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Rural Caucus will be meeting tomorrow morning from 8 to 8:45 in room 10 and on Zoom. We'll be hearing an overview on brownfields and current initiatives in Vermont. All are welcome.
Member from Hartford.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We just heard the reading of a resolution in support of Mohsen Madawi, a beloved member of my community in White River Junction. Mohsen is a bridge builder and has been amplifying calls for peace for decades, despite the unthinkable violence he experienced in his child and adulthood. Madam Speaker, may I offer a quote from Mohsen featured on BBC?
You may.
I want people to know that my compassion extended beyond the Palestinian people. My compassion is also for the Jewish people and for the Israelis as well. His movements always include Israelis and Jewish folks. In May, I share a few brief quotes from community members to paint a picture of Mohsen's character.
You may.
There's a gentleness to Mohsen that's disarming. It makes you want to show up as your best self. Another quote, in a violent world, Mohsen chooses peace, consistently, courageously, and without exception. He has made space in his heart for everyone, no matter how different. That's a rare kind of peacekeeping. Where others might retreat into bitterness, Mosen reaches towards healing, justice, and connection. I'd request the body's support in welcoming friends, families, and supporters of Mosen to the People's House, sitting in the balcony. Thank you.
Will the guest of the member from Hartford please rise and be recognized? Member from Montpelier.
Madam Speaker, the Working Vermonters Caucus will be meeting tomorrow at noon in room 11. Please come for the pizza, stay for the collective bargaining.
Are there any further announcements? Member from Woodstock.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's always a pleasure to look in the gallery and find constituents here, ones that you don't necessarily know are coming. But, and for that, one of my constituents, Charlotte Hollingsworth, has been a constant voice and a conscience in our community, and I just want to thank her for coming. And also a reporter of a long owned and established newspaper, the Vermont Standard. Tom Ayers is here. I'd like you to welcome them both to the People's House.
Will the guest of the member from Woodstock please rise and be recognized? Member from Castleton.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to take a moment to echo the warm welcome of the Ethan Allen boys from the member of Bennington. On behalf of myself and Senators Collimore, Weeks, and Williams, it is an honor to highlight House Concurrent Resolution 72 commemorating May 9th, 2025 as the 250th anniversary of Ethan Allen's pivotal arrival in Castleton, a moment that set into motion significant events during the American War of Independence. Castleton proudly remembers its historical significance as the meeting place where Ethan Allen and the Green Mountain Boys crafted their bold and courageous plans. Their successful capture of Fort Ticonderoga and Crown Point not only delivered critical victories, but also secured essential artillery that contributed decisively to the Continental Army's efforts to drive the British from Boston. These extraordinary events underscore Castleton's integral role in America's path to independence and Vermont's eventual statehood. Today, I especially want to recognize my constituent, Thomas Hughes of Castleton, whose dedication and tireless efforts have been instrumental in commemorating and preserving this vital piece of our history. Tom's commitment to Castleton and its heritage ensures that future generations will continue to appreciate the profound contributions our town made to American independence. Thank you, Tom, for your passion and unwavering dedication. Madam Speaker, Tom is seated in the balcony, and please help me give him a warm welcome to the People's House.
Will the guest of the member from Castleton please rise and be recognized? Member from Burlington.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We have heard resolutions protesting the warrantless and due process-less detainment of Mohsin Madawi. We have also heard resolutions celebrating Ethan Allen and the Green Mountain Boys' successful capture of Fort Ticonderoga. In the balcony, we have with us people in revolutionary American garb. We also have people wearing keffiyehs in support of freedom for Palestine. These things may seem unconnected or even contradictory, but to me, they are one and the same. They are all the fight for freedom. Ethan Allen and his patriots took Fort Ty to protect people like Mohsin Madawi from arbitrary arrest. And I would like to share.
Will the House please come to order?
And I would simply echo what Emma Lazarus said 140 years ago, that none of us are free until all of us are free.
Are there any further announcements? Member from Chittenden.
Madam Speaker, as a student of history, I did some research this morning. Glenn Campbell was born on this day. Isabel of Portugal was born. In 1876, the first official National League Baseball game is played. Boston Red Caps beat the Philadelphia Athletics 6-5. In 1969, the first human eye transplant was performed. I checked in with the member from Berkshire as to whether there was any historical markers commemorating this day or whether it was a district holiday. No. Madam Speaker, I was shocked to learn there was no mention in the state archives nor any commemorative markers celebrating this day as the birthday of the member from Franklin. Madam Speaker, please join me in nonetheless wishing the member a happy birthday.
Happy birthday, member. Member from Fairfield.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's not a birthday, it's not funny or anything like that, but a commemoration for those of us who are here. 5 years ago today was the very first time we went on Zoom as a body.
Are there any further announcements? Seeing none, orders of the day. Members, we will begin with Senate Bill 27, which is an act relating to medical debt relief and excluding medical debt from credit reports. Please listen to the third reading of the bill.
S27, an act relating to medical debt relief and excluding medical debt from credit reports.
The question is, shall the bill pass in concurrence with proposal of amendment? Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and you have passed the bill in concurrence with proposal of amendment. Members, our final bill on the action calendar today is House Bill 10, which is an act relating to approval of amendments to the Charter of the City of Barre. The bill passed the Senate with a proposal of amendment that is printed in today's calendar. Member from Cavendish.
Madam Speaker, I'd like to request a delay of action for 1 day on this, please.
The member from Cavendish moves that we postpone action on House Bill 10 for 1 legislative day. Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. No. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and you have postponed action on House Bill 10 for 1 legislative day. Members, that completes the orders of the day. Are there any announcements? Members, the Speaker has some reminders. We just want to start off the week strong on decorum, so I just would like to remind members that vote explanations should be short and infrequent. Please, when you are reporting a bill or interrogating, please look to the Speaker and debate through the Speaker. Please mind the line of sight. And when a member calls a point of order, if you are the reporter of the bill and being interrogated, the 2 members should sit down while the point of order is being made. With that, are there any further announcements? Member from Essex Junction.
House Dems will caucus at 11:15 a.m. in room 11.
Member from Poultney.
House Republicans will caucus immediately following adjournment in room 10.
Member from Burlington.
House Progressives will caucus at noon in room 44. Our guest today is Free Her, and all are welcome.
Are there any further announcements? Seeing none. Member from Poultney, can you please offer us a motion to adjourn until Wednesday, April 23rd at 1 p.m.?
Madam Speaker, I make a motion this body stand at adjournment until Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025 at 1 p.m.
You have heard the motion. Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and the